You're watching my favorite YouTube channel, joined by Hot Takes Tuesdays, the Nerd Man. His link is down there in the description.
Hello, guys. How are you?
They can't answer that question, but you know what we can do? We can read this article from Variety, and I want to start with the headline. This is about a week after their last headline that they did when they were talking about, oh, Jonathan Majors has alleged victims cooperating with the DA, which they wanted you all to think that there's more people accusing him and that the numbers have gained, which all they said was sources familiar have alleged multiple victims. Multiple means more than one. And if that one woman that he's dating, that makes one. And if there's just a single other woman who's cooperating with the DA, then maybe the DA reached out and was like, yo, let us know. Are you an ex of Jonathan Majors? That constitutes multiple. So, anyways, the headline of these guys' game, the headline game is very damning. They're hoping no one actually reads the article. This is their headline where they say Jonathan Majors, alleged victim, granted temporary order of protection ahead of court date. The woman now has a temporary order of protection. Does it say that she asked for it? No, it doesn't, because she didn't. What's really happening, guys, is that the TMZ work that was acquired from the Jonathan Majors defense team, which got to show you an image of her in a police body cam footage, an image of her perfectly fine. They got to show you that she actually went to the club right afterwards. The cop pulled her aside and was like, I'm good. Just say that he choked you. Say that he choked you. And he was coaching her and saying that. After all that, do you know who wants this woman, this alleged victim, this girlfriend of Jonathan Majors, to have no communication with Jonathan Majors? The DA, because that's what really happened here. And they word it in a way that doesn't allude to the other stories. When Jonathan Majors and the TMZ evidence came out, where was Variety to be like, oh, by the way, here's an update. Jonathan Majors has a whole bunch of evidence. There's actually a mountain of evidence that alludes to his innocence, his free innocence. So, first of all, the headline, Nerdman, what do you even think about this?
I haven't got much to say about it. I said to you earlier what I would respond as a defense lawyer if, in fact, there is a lot of evidence exonerating him, then I will expect a certain response from the defense, because again, this is part of what you mentioned earlier. It's part of the kind of playbook of the DA to shape a narrative, or the playbook of prosecution to shape the narrative. It's putting out headlines to demonize the individual, yes, the defendant.
Now that's what the DA would do, Nerdman. Why is Variety being a part of this? Why are they the ones writing the headlines? It's not just the DA versus Jonathan Majors. It actually feels like Variety is playing a role in slandering him. I'm going to show you. I'm going to go on Variety's website. I'm going to go on Variety's website, and I'm going to show you all of the Jonathan Majors articles that they read. Read every single headline. We'll get there in a second.
But as I was saying, if there's exculpatory evidence, I will expect the defense lawyers to say something along the lines of, or release a statement saying that they fully agree with the order. They're absolutely fine with it, as is Jonathan Majors. But this is another trick to control the narrative, as their client Jonathan Majors still does not pose any threat to her at all. Because why would he pose a threat? I mean, let's say he even did, attack her, which I don't think, I'm not sure, but I'm leaning towards, I think there's some suspicious stuff going on. And I think some of the evidence that's been shown is kind of strong. But even if he did, I mean, it's not like the mafia's after her. You know what I mean? They're going to put a hit on her if, Jonathan Majors is very unlikely to do anything, guilty or innocent, for this specific crime in order to somehow gain some kind of retribution against her. So, but this is what I would be saying if I was the defense. I'd be making it clear that he's perfectly fine with it.
Yeah.
This is just a trick. Control the narrative. But
controlling the narrative, Controlling
They
the narrative
know.
doesn't work when the narrative is by Variety. Variety is the one dictating the narrative. If it was a fair media source, then yeah, we could control the narrative. But Variety is not a fair media source, as you can see from everything from the way they worded it. There
Okay,
was
show me the headlines.
the first headline we know, which we saw. The second one was the most recent one was Jonathan Majors was dropped by Manager Entertainment 360 following his domestic violence charges. That's not friendly. Jonathan Majors, his issues worsen as more alleged abuse victims cooperate with the DA's. And if it's an exclusive, don't lie to me. The DA was in contact with you, Tatiana Siegel. But then the next thing is Jonathan Majors' lawyer releases text messages he claims shows women taking blame for fight. Again, they worry that they word it. He claims it. And then the commentary that came after.
A woman taking blame for fight, yeah.
Jonathan Majors charged with assault and harassment following NYC arrest. There's never.
So they've never put out anything about like the evidence that he's put out.
Here we go. It says that Majors' lawyer says evidence exists to prove he's completely innocent of alleged assault. Now, they said that on March 26th, but like now that the evidence is out there, I would have loved for you to have actually, you know what I mean? So Rebecca Rubin, as she did this article and this article, salute to Rebecca Rubin for following up on it. But like, man, no, actually, this was March 26th. So the follow-up was actually the worst of the news stories where the DA charged him, right?
Yeah.
And then there was the actual news once he was arrested. Now I understand because of the way that we found out was that the cops arrested him and someone in TMZ has the inside on like whenever there's an arrest and it has a celebrity name that cross references, they go, oh, we got to make a news story of this. So that's how that news story came out. But bro, the moment this man tells us I'm completely innocent, there's a witness and there's evidence. As soon as that happens, everyone needs to go, oh, I guess we got to wait till May 8th. And they didn't want to wait till May 8th. Let's read the news article from Variety, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make it bigger. There. That's the big one. Just the way I like it.
Wow. Quite the admission there.
Jonathan Majors' alleged victim was granted a temporary order of protection on Thursday ahead of the May 9th court date. They changed it. It used to be 8th, where the actor will face charges of assault and harassment. First of all, if they're changing the date and moving it to May 9th, it's because they need more time for more evidence. Isn't that the case?
And who changed it? The just the judge or just in general?
The DA. The DA is the one who gets to have this. Oh, yeah, the judge. You're right. Yo, I don't know the answer to that question. I'm not going to pretend to know everything about the legal system, but it was been moved from May 8th to May 9th. That is in favor of the people.
I mean, it's always the judge anyway, but like, yeah, like it's always going to be the judge, but like it would be on request from the DA or on request from defense, depending, you know, yeah, or it could just be something that the judge needs time for something.
No way in hell Jonathan Majors' side wants to prolong this and have more days to have more negative news, because the places like Variety who are out to get him and anyone who's wishing ill will on Jonathan Majors, they know that they have about a week and a half to get out all of the venom that they can, because that body cam footage exists, because that witness from the cab driver that exists. I hope there's a video in the car that exists also that'll show everything was a farce. More from this article. Today, a judge granted a full temporary order of protection for the victim per the people's request. So the people, I don't know, I think that's the DA.
What do you mean for the alleged victim?
Where does it say that?
No, they should say alleged victim.
I'll read it again. Today, a judge granted a full temporary order of protection for the victim. That's right.
What I'm saying. For the alleged victim. It should say the alleged victim, but whatever.
Oh, because it's quoting the Manhattan District Attorney's Office.
Oh.
So that's who sent the statement to Variety. So yeah, they're pretending like she's a victim. They have to act like it. So they wouldn't say alleged victim. That's why.
Sure.
Now, hey, last time when the Variety was saying sources familiar to the case are telling us this, and today you're just telling us straight up, it was the Manhattan District Attorney's Office who gave you guys a statement. I wonder who the source familiar, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was born at night, but not last night. And it says, per the people's request and with the consent of defense counsel. At the time of the arraignment, a limited temporary order of protection was granted. So she was always supposed to be separate from him, I guess. And here it says here that a full temporary order of protection means that the two parties must not have any direct or third-party contact, which remains in effect until the next court date. A third-party contact, wouldn't that mean like Marvel being some sort of like in-between? Hey, tell us what happened? Because she did work on Ant-Man and the Wasp, and so did he, where they met each other. I think that rules out Marvel and maybe that possibly that third party thing may be why Marvel hasn't got rid of him. Maybe it plays a role, or maybe Marvel's just being smart about it and waiting. I don't know.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
But hey, this only helps the DA. You can keep these guys completely separate from each other so they can't have the same story when they talk to each other and beat our set in court. That's what they want. I don't feel like this woman is. I used to question it, but I don't feel like she's someone who's trying to hurt Jonathan Majors. I believe that she had a night out. Well, Ray J, what was she doing on her night out?
Sipping on good, blowing on OG.
Yes, Ray J, she was sipping on good. And when she came back and she was all disoriented, a cop got her to say things that didn't actually happen. And that's what the body cam footage shows. If that's the case, like, I just mean she's not someone that I'm have any vitriol towards. You were taking advantage of. Now, we could say that there's a whole lot of women even with... No, just go ahead.
I think there's a lot of I don't want to speculate at this point, so I'm just taking things for what have come in so far. But the one thing that bothers me about what's happening online with this is this inability for people to understand that there's not some kind of collective effort on the part of Black people to bamboozle everyone when we say about our relationship with law enforcement. It's like if every sexy woman said, hey, men look at me all the time. Men want to talk to me all the time. No one's going to go, oh, I'm really suspicious of that. I'm really I don't believe, maybe you're trying to trick us or whatever. It's like, there's just some sense of logic. If every blind person says, sometimes, it took me effort. Every blind person says it took me effort to walk the street because I bumped into things. So I wish that the streets were more blind friendly or something like that, right? In terms of that disability, no one would question blind people to be like, oh, I think you're just trying to really, you're all fine with So that's what I'm saying with this. It's like, that's what bothers me most. It's not that I'm saying this guy is definitely innocent, but people have to understand why there's such a great suspicion on the part of the Black community, and why there's a great suspicion with me, and why I'm always going to give a Black person, in this circumstances, the benefit of the doubt.
Or at least until May 8th, on May 9th.
And to be fair, I'd give any man, to be quite fair, the benefit of the doubt, just as I'd give any woman the benefit of the doubt in this scenario. I have to wait and see. And the problem is Variety and all of these people are coming out with all of these articles, as you say, shaping the narrative, and people are just eating it up. A lot of people are just eating it up, and what are you talking about? Like there's any sense of the police could have coached them and blah blah blah.
From day one, the thought of a police officer orchestrating this has never not been a part of my theories. You can watch my earlier videos. I always considered that, the police are to protect and serve, but we also can't rule out the nature of these guys and what they started off of and everything police are about. There's a history, unlike blind people, there's just a media that's been portraying people who look the way Jonathan Majors looks in an act specifically as violent to the women who look like the woman he was dating. He goes inside that penthouse and he looks and sees her and he sees him. He's like, this is just like my favorite movie. You get that reference?
It's just no, I didn't. Sorry.
So the first movie that's ever in the history of movies was a racist blackface film called Birth of Our Nation.
Oh, right.
And so the message that they tried to do historically in media was always if someone's Black, he's dangerous to your woman. So this has been there year after year, unlike someone who's blind. And we can sympathize with someone yeah, you're right. It is kind of uneasy to find out. I can close my eyes. I can see what a blind person goes through. Man, we got to be nicer to these people. Let's have, the braille on the elevators or the lifts. Excuse me.
Right. Right. So I mean, yeah, and it's like you're saying. I totally agree with that assessment, and
So
I
that's
don't
my
know.
commentary on media. That's my commentary on Hollywood's depiction of black folk. Just
But specifically, what you were saying about the policeman, like potentially coming in and doing that, and like seeing a woman, who's disheveled and whatever, and just jumping to some conclusions.
I slapped my girl, she called the feds.
Wanting to
power
be
of
the
that.
hero, and yeah,
Yeah. And then what did it
it's
cause?
it's happened to me. I mean, not even like I've heard it from somebody else. This has happened to me, and it's like, people coming along, like when I'm with my girlfriend or something, like just we're having an exchange with each other that seems a little bit like whatever, and somebody, oh, what's happening? Are you okay? It's like, and she's like, yeah, like, what I'm saying? It's just like this kind of thing, and that's the nature of being in a mixed race relationship sometimes. So I don't know.
I don't think I've seen your girl, but she's not that light skinned. Is she?
Oh, she is. Yeah, she is. But I'm
Is it
talking
the
about
same?
another.
Is it?
I'm talking about another girlfriend from way, way, way back in the day. So it's nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with the current one.
I'm rooting for the current one. It says here, Majors was arrested in New York on March 25 and charged with assault and harassment following an alleged domestic dispute with a 30-year-old woman. The New York police responded to a 911 call. Look at the way they worded it. They responded to a 911 call. You forgot to mention it was Majors who was actually the one who
Are we
called.
sure about that?
Because you know what they would have said if it was actually her who called? They would have actually said New York police responded to her 911 call. But instead
That's true.
So it's a 911 call and took Majors into custody. The unnamed victim was hospitalized with minor injuries to her head and neck, according to authorities. Again, they trying to word it like a bad way, but we know the truth, or at least we know what Majors alleges. Just to be fair, Majors' legal team has denied any wrongdoing and has released text messages and videos related to this situation that they believe prove his innocence. They actually only released the text messages. They released still images from the videos, but I believe TMZ just went to the nightclub and they're like, give us the video, we'll pay you. This is standard. So again, this is Major's lawyer. Pay attention to these quotations. She says here that this is standard in cases such as this. And we consented because Mr. Majors wants nothing to do with the woman who assaulted him. So you got exactly what you wanted, right, Nerdman?
Sure. I hope the woman is still on board with the defense, though. It's a risky strategy because I would have preferred them go into just saying, our client poses no threat to this individual. He never did pose a threat to this individual, and the prosecutors know this full well and know that the whole allegation is really a figment of their very wild and expansive imaginations.
You just get all the adjectives in there. Very figments of the wild and imaginative.
Yeah, but that's what that I mean. I wouldn't say it exactly like that, but I would have like led with that. I think they don't need to kind of attack this woman necessarily to make their case. Maybe John Majors is angry at this woman at this point in time, but I would steer away from that if she's a potential ally, in getting him off.
We have been transparent and cooperative with the district attorney, including giving the district attorney ample evidence, including witness statements of Mr. Major's innocence. In fact, we recently provided a forensic medical opinion from a board-certified emergency medicine doctor and trauma specialist who has examined the photos and videos of the woman and concludes without hesitation that the woman did not have any injuries at the nightclub, and the injuries she later sustained did not come from Majors and could not have come from the way the woman described. Chaudhry continued.
Oh, so the woman has said that this happened to her.
Where did you read that? What do you mean?
Because she said and could not have happened the way the woman described. So the woman is saying something happened to her.
Well, the way the woman described it was only after the officer coached her to say, say that he choked. So I think that's what they mean by the way the woman described.
Okay, so hopefully that's what they mean. Then they don't mean that she's now renewed a statement and said something different after. But just
I didn't read it that way.
Going into that, I worry about this period of time, not so much in the taxi cab or before the club, but this period of time when he found her supposedly laid out in his home
11 in the morning,
and she'd thrown up apparently on his bed or something like that. Now, I'm not saying he did anything, but I am saying that from a legal standpoint, as a prosecutor, you can still say that those injuries were sustained during that period and not the period. So anything that they've shown before about the club and the taxi car and all of that, they can just go, all right, well, fine. It happened in the house. So you got video footage of that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm concerned about with this whole thing, because they'll be like, okay, well, where else did she get the injuries from? You clearly see she has no injuries in the video. She went to his house straight after. Who would have given her these injuries if she does have injuries? And that's maybe what the prosecution is going with, rather than the stuff prior.
Bruh, that is so true. And it scares me. Well, maybe we can say from the screenshot, though.
Maybe the problem that the prosecution is going to have is that she said it happened in the taxi cab. And that's what the defense are going to go with. Because if she made a statement that it happened in the taxi cab, defense is going to be like, well, couldn't have happened in the taxi cab. Got a medical examiner that said this, that, and the other. Those injuries aren't consistent with that. And then the prosecution will say, well, it could have happened then. She may have been confused or something like that. So that's why I'm just like, I'm waiting to see, so that I can get the full picture, so I can get an idea of where the prosecution is coming from with this.
Here, though, because the police body cam footage, we can actually see her neck. And this is a video, right? Like that circle in the middle, everybody, we're going to be able to hit play on it one day. And we'll actually see that, no, there were no severe, bruising type things. Maybe could be maybe. But yeah, maybe right after the video in the club, maybe that's when she gets in her problem. The thing is, though, she doesn't remember. She keeps answering, I don't know what happened. So she doesn't know what happened. According to her. So back to this article. Here's the thing. There's a punctuation issue that I take issue with. It's right here where they stop and they say, Chaudhry continued, which proves to me that Chaudhry, the defense lawyer of Jonathan Majors, Chaudhry was not finished. She was on a roll here. She was talking about how we got a medicine doctor and a trauma specialist to look at the video. And when she writes, and could not have come from the way the woman described, she puts a comma there. That's not a period. There was more statements to be had. And for some reason, Variety that said, we're going to make this editorial decision to stop her and begin with a new sentence. In fact, the forensic medical... So you see what I mean? This is evidence to me, to Chillmonger, that because Chaudhry gave you a statement that had a comma with more words in the sentence, you stopped it. I can now look at Variety, and everyone here should be able to go, Variety is on some fishy type, and it's overt what's within the article. Variety versus Jonathan Majors is a real thing, everybody. Chaudhry continued. In fact, the forensic medical expert's opinion shows that the woman is lying. It is disturbing that even when presented with this incontrovertible, what the hell is that word? That's a lot of syllables.
Incontrovertible, yeah.
Evidence. The district
just means that it's solid proof, like absolute proof. Incontrovertible. You can't argue with it. That's what they mean.
And she's continuing with the case. This is kind of true, right? But the DA's definitely got one. DAs, police, the whole entire legal system, they're all on the same team. So they know it makes the police look bad.
And the judge. Don't forget the judge. They're all on the same team. They're usually pro-prosecution.
They're always going to be pro-prosecution because they got to justify the city's budget to the NYPD.
And also, they usually are prosecutors. Most judges don't come from defense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In an April 19 report, Variety revealed that multiple alleged victims of Majors had come forward. Again, with the language, they're repeating it. So it's very specific in language and wording. They're never saying that many women are accusing Jonathan Majors of assault. They're using wording like multiple, which just means two, alleged victims rather than victims. And they have come forward, which coming forward is not exactly specific. There's not a charge on him. There's not an accusation following his arrest, and are cooperating. Cooperating means nothing to me. Cooperating just means you're in conversation with them. Hey, Majors' lawyer, didn't she just say earlier that she was cooperating with the DA? With the DA's office. So I hope like you guys can see it the way I see it. It says here, on April 17, Majors was dropped by his management, Entertainment 360, and the publicist, the lead company. Thanks for adding that to the fire, Variety. We know how badly you're trying to make him look. Prior to his March arrest, Majors was regarded as a rising star in Hollywood, having starred in 2 blockbuster franchises, Creed, Ant-Man. Marvel character Kang had been tapped to be the star villain of the future, including the next Avengers movie. What do you mean it had been tapped? He still is. But they're the way they word it is like this guy is over, you know? Doug, they have a week and a half to ruin his name. They're going all as hard as they can. He was also the breakout of this year's Sundance Film Festival. Guys, check out the movie Magazine Dreams, okay? Okay. That's the entire article from these guys. Is Variety not trying to slander him? Like, how do you deny this?
I mean, they have a couple of new things worth saying, you know, what the defense and what the prosecution have said. So they do have a couple of new things that have been added to this narrative. But in general, they're just finding words to put out there in the world to, you know, like to get clicks or to get, you know, whatever they desire. Like, it's worthy of an article, I guess, but like a paragraph article, really. I mean, just like update.
But if your goal is to create a headline that is damning of Jonathan Majors, and more people will see the headline than read the article, which shows you the defense lawyer letting you know about how much evidence he has. And you're not even going to find on Variety's website images of her at the club. You got to go to another website. So if you're only one who peruses the Variety site, you don't have the full evidence. You're going to have your mindset. And if you're not perusing TMZ or other outlets who are not afraid to actually show you the freaking videos, you know, or the still images at least that he was providing. It's not like when Jonathan Majors side gave TMZ evidence, they were like, only you guys get this exclusive evidence. No, they want that evidence everywhere. And just like the way that you want your headlines everywhere, which seem to hurt Majors in every step of the way.
Put my mind on it, then I put my grind on it.
Right. All of the headlines, as you said, it's like, it's very surprising that they sway towards the sensational, and they know exactly what their audience or a certain audience wants to hear.
Don't know what for.
For the most part, I'm willing to give him a chance and hear him out.
Oh, you've always been willing, yeah.
And given the circumstances, I think there's a very good chance that this is just bullshit, really, given the circumstances. But, you know.
Ain't no buts. If he's lying, that's a huge ass lie. And a specific lie. 19 times she says, I don't know, until the cop pulls her aside and tells her that the videos clearly show him coaching her. That's a bold lie to make. Or to say that you have this witness in the car who can attest to, you know. Now, that's a huge lie. I just don't believe this man's lying. I never did believe him that he was guilty. I always had that.
All right, let me give you a line of questioning for the taxi driver. So you were with this woman at this specific time? Yes.
In the car.
And you were in the car with her at this specific time, and you saw because they won't ask an open question, and you saw the interaction between her and Jonathan Majors. Yes. Okay. Were you with them at 11 p.m. Or 1 p.m. at night?
No.
Were you in the flat at 1 p.m. at night? Were you at Jonathan Major's house? Did you see them to the door?
Yeah.
You know,
I
all
get
of
what
these
you're trying to
kind
say.
of questions, which would be like, you know, it can quickly null and void.
Not really, though. The police report does say that this took place in the car after he had his phone and he had his text message. He was trying to get a look at him. That's what the police reports are saying. That's what TMZ acquired, and that when TMZ was breaking the story. And the police reports are only saying what the woman gave her as she was woozy and not in her right mind.
I get drunk, wake up, I'm wasted.
Plus, all the text she sent throughout the whole entire night never once addressed that he put hands on her and he hurt her. She was more so like jealous because you're cheating on me, and she was saying some suicidal stuff too, which is going to help the defense if you're like, if this woman is, you know, not in the right state. This is okay. Bottom line is, it's Variety is against this man. We can see from the articles, and I'm looking at every single freaking member of this website, including Tatiana Siegel. What's Tatiana Siegel all about?
And it doesn't matter if he turns out to have done anything. The fact that they're reporting it like this is a travesty. It's outrageous.
It's outrageous. It's unfair. We got her article on Majors, a little story on George Stephanopoulos. When she writes about black people, it's not very positive. Don Lemon's misogyny at CNN exposed. Yo, is this a pattern here? Let me see another black story. She's not black. She's what, Puerto Rican? Rosie Perez making peace with Spike Lee. Yeah, that's anti-Spike Lee. What are we doing here? Because he made her feel bad about like playing that role, I think. Will Smith's comeback attempt. I don't like the way that's worded. Will Smith's perfectly fine in my books. Let's see what else. Anytime this woman over here, what's her name? Tatiana Siegel. Anytime she writes about black people, it's not very. Well, let's see this Ezra Miller story. James Gunn calls The Flash one of the greatest superhero movies ever. Ezra Miller's, bro, how much more apparent can it be? A Flash story? Perfectly fine. It's Ezra Miller. Jonathan Majors? Nope.
Okay.
Bro, who is Tatiana Siegel? Here we go. The Rock. Secret meetings, Tequila, Black Adam versus Superman. How Dwayne Johnson's bid for DC Power flamed out. Bro, she does not do positive black stories. I'm like enamored by this Tatiana Siegel human being.
Yeah. No. Just be careful. If you become famous, date the right woman.
Executive editor, film and media at Variety, formerly Rolling Stone. Oh, I see you. The Ankler, The Hollywood Reporter, fan of all Boston sports. Boston. You see, that's why Jaylen Brown's leaving you guys next year. Anyways, Nerdman, you were gonna say? You wanted to say on your way out?
No, man. It's been good talking to you again. We'll talk soon. I imagine, like maybe to like. Anyway, there's possibly a stream. There's possibly a stream going on tonight or something like that. So
I'll see you when you see me.
All right. Peace, dude. Thanks for inviting me on.